including the regional offices and attached agencies for uniform understanding and appropriate application of performance management in the respective offices, holds its DOSC SPMS orientation today, April 11, 2024, until tomorrow here at the DOSC ASIC conference room. In partnership with the Civil Service Commission, this two-day event will provide a learning opportunity on the salient provisions of the DOST SPMS, as well as to discuss the best practices and current issues and concerns that SPMS focal persons in the DOST Central Office and select DOST regional offices, NCR 4A and 4B, encounter in their SPMS implementation. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the DOST SPMS Caravan. Okay, so are we all ready? We would also like to greet everyone from our Google Meet. Hello po sa inyong lahat and everyone here at the ASIC conference room. So to start with our program, to acknowledge our participants, let's all welcome with a warm round of applause the director for the PES, Director Cesar R. Pedraza.
Good morning, everyone, to Yusek Donet, ASEC Dan, Director Angel, and ang ating SME, si Director Helen Ramos from the CSC. Good morning, ma'ams. And to all our participants, the DOS-CO Units Division, Services and Executive Officers, and representatives from DOS Calabarzon as well, Mimaropa and NCR, and FPRDI if they are already online. So to our guests and also to our other online participants who are connected with us via Google Meet, and who will be observing our session for today. Good morning po sa ating lahat. So we are very happy to see everyone on board on this event, which the DOST-CO has spearheaded to ensure that everyone in the central office appreciates what SPMS is all about. This used to cover only the DOST personnel, but now, given the Secretary's directive, and as we recognize the great need to streamline the SPMS policies and practices in the DOS OSEC cluster, we are here today to unlearn and relearn the SPMS from one another, and of course from our subject matter expert, si Ma'am Grace. And this effort, led particularly by the PDPD, with the leadership of Dr. Roel Sancho, we will be understanding further the objectives. So next slide. To set the tone, the SPMS Caravan 2024 is a joint effort of the DOST ALS and PES with the support of the OSEC, OUSEC STS, and the OASEC ALA. We are very excited to share this DOS-CO initiative platform with regional office representatives because the SPMS Caravan has been an effective activity that paved the way for the DOS-CO to improve its SPMS journey. And to understand the objectives, one will be to streamline common understanding of the CSC SPMS related policies, processes, and practices, and also to learn from the experiences of the DOS-CO and regional offices, which includes the following items: cascading, preparation of commitments, calibration of the MFOs, and operationalization of the performance management team. And also to revisit our MFOs, success indicators, and the performance commitments and reviews form. And also improve our SPMS practice in our respective offices. So with that, I would like again to thank you, and I look forward to everybody's active participation and maximize the presence of our subject matter expert today. At this juncture, I am pleased to introduce to you our DOS-CO Performance Management Team Chairperson, who has always been supportive of improving the SPMS process in the DOS-CO, and who has been very patient in the review and approval of the voluminous performance commitment reviews from individuals to sections, to divisions, to services, and to executive offices for the 2 rating periods. So without much further ado, please welcome our very own Undersecretary for S&T Services, Ms. Maridon Osahago.
Thank you very much, Director Cesar. At isang maganda at makaagham na umaga po sa ating lahat. We welcome our subject matter specialist, Civil Service Director Helen Grace Ramos. Welcome po to the DOST, and of course to all my colleagues here at DOS, Assistant Secretary Dian Ignacio, our Service Directors, Attorney Angel and Director Cesar, our guest on site from the regions. So we have PSTO directors, si Lina of Batangas, si Nanding of Al, and of course from our DOS NCR. Meron pa ba akong na-miss from the regional offices? And on site here are of course we come in full force ang mga DOS CO. And a warm welcome and good morning to our colleagues joining us via Google Meet. Thank you for your attendance and look forward to your active participation as we begin this SPMS Caravan Learning Session 2. At this juncture, allow me first to express my gratitude to the organizers led by our Planning and Evaluation Service. On the side of PES is the group of PDPD, si Dr. Ruel Sancho, Dr. Dayan Bernardo, and all the PDPD staff, and also on the part of the admin and legal service led by Attorney Angel. We have also, of course, our chief of our personal division, si Ma'am Isa, and the team. Thank you for organizing this very important event. So today's learning session is indeed a very good opportunity for all of us to familiarize ourselves once again with the SPMS, get updates, and learn from each other. Likewise, the discussions that will transpire in the next 2 days will also prepare us better as we roll out the SPMS to the regions through the 4 regional caravans that will be taking place within the year. The SPMS caravan started with the pre-activity, the pre-SPMS caravan, where we are excited to learn from the experiences of some of the regional offices. So the subject matter experts, the Director Grace, I think also was there to help us. And now I challenge everyone, including myself, to unlearn what we have now and start anew with our love affair with SPMS. Diba? It has its ups and downs. We started way back before the pandemic emerged. And as there's compliance, there are also, the journey is not straightforward. Merong nakakaalala, merong bagong mangyayari, and the central office has also expanded with the inclusion of HTAD. And so we had to again revisit our SPMS. And in this journey, we hope that this time we will again push our learning of the SPMS and the trajectory of its implementation. So let me just provide a brief background on the SPMS Caravan. The DOS Central Office SPMS Caravan was first introduced by the PES in 2020, so at the height of the pandemic, to facilitate the cascading of the DOS-CO strategic plan into the various offices and division work plans and performance commitment and review forms. The SPMS has become a platform for the various offices and divisions to come together to fully understand their respective mandates and factions before we can even craft our MFO outputs and success indicators. I can clearly recall the several sessions that we had with the Civil Service Commission subject matter experts, because at that time we were distributed in many offices. So we had learning sessions in the lecture halls of PTRI, at the MIRDC, kung nasaan yung ating mga opisina, nandun din tayo. And then we painstakingly coached and mentored our our division heads, our personnel, with the help of CSC representatives. So thank you, ma'am, for sending us the representatives who really coached us and mentored us in this SPMS journey. The SPMS journey of the central office was a long, winding, and rough road. So it was a bit rough given the needs and the needs for improvement on the SPMS practices. Also, it was something new and something that really needs time and effort to understand, implement, and comply. Learning never stops at the central office and in all government offices, so we continue to learn and improve on our SPMS. So as we move forward and go beyond the usual for compliance only, but this time we must make the SPMS work and make it an integral part of our operations where all of us not only are aware of the SPMS, but implement them and own the SPMS. We need to challenge ourselves in order to become efficient public servants of the department through an honest to goodness SPMS implementation. In doing so, we have to fully understand what the SPMS is all about and how we can use this tool to really appreciate each one's contribution to the achievement of DOST strategic plan and more the achievement of the Philippine Development Plan outcomes. The SPMS journey is about being brave enough and honest enough to recognize and accept our imperfections, and that we need to transform these imperfections into a positive force that will motivate us to level up our SPMS journey. So next slide, please. So in 2023, the DOST Central Office received some major issues and concerns on the SPMS implementation, which challenged us here at the Central Office, PMT, to further improve our current efforts in implementing the SPMS. So moving forward, the Department of Science and Technology Secretary, Dr. Renato Yusolidum Jr., has always been an advocate of the SPMS, directed the DOS-PES and the ALS to take the lead in the conduct of an orientation on the DOS SPMS. This prompted us also to expand these efforts and the SPMS caravan and include the regional offices as well. So the learning sessions will help us understand the context of the regional offices to better equip the DOS Central Office team who will roll out the DOST OSEC SPMS caravan within the year. So next slide. So the SPMS Caravan Learning Session 2024 is composed of 3 phases. The SPMS Learning Sessions, which is phase 1. Phase 2 is a calibration workshop. And phase 3 is for coaching and mentoring. So for phase 1, we have 2 learning sessions. The pre-SPMS Caravan Learning Session, which was conducted last March 21, where invited participants from DOST Mimaropa, Calabarzon, NCR, and FPRDI attended for a learning session about their SPMS journey. This activity was conceptualized as a prelude to the actual strategic performance management system caravan that will be rolled out within the year. So today we are now in session 2, which will revisit the SPMS policies and practices to help us better understand what the SPMS is all about, how to appreciate it more, and implement it more effectively and efficiently. For those who are new to the SPMS policy, this is a good venue for us to revisit our functions, the expected outputs from our office, from us, and from our stakeholders, and as individual personnel who belong to a particular unit or section or office of the department. So on April 11, which is today, after a 2-day break, we will focus our discussion on the CSC's SPMS policies and practices. Then tomorrow, April 12, We will have a workshop to check and validate the cascading process and crafting of MFOs and success indicators. So last week, there was already a discussion with Director Ramos on the highlights of the issues and concerns that surfaced during the session one that we had, or the pre-SBMS caravan. So these concerns will be further later during her presentation, and in fact may be raised during the two-day session. So in phase two, we hope to meet the DOS CO performance management team to discuss the pending issues and concerns on our SPMS process, and we look forward to resolve majority of these issues and concerns if this cannot be resolved in these sessions. So moving forward, we are looking at a workshop on the calibration of MFOs and success indicators in the DOS CO. While I know that we have them individually, we need to look at them at the department level, or I mean the DOS CO level, and see that these are all aligned. Also to strengthen how these are formulated or presented, so that we can better communicate what our functions and what our activities and mandates are, not only among ourselves, but more importantly to our stakeholders, to the public whom we are committed to serve. So on phase three, we look forward to receiving the feedback from our colleagues from the regional offices and the DOST attached agencies. So we will learn and know whether a coaching and mentoring activity or workshop or even follow-up sessions would have to be organized. So I look forward to more active participation from each one of us, both on-site and on the virtual sa Google Meet, and that we can really make our SPM story a very productive and engaging one, so that each one of us can really help contribute to making the outcomes that we have promised our public become a reality. So again, thank you to our subject matter expert, Director Grace, and sa ating lahat. I look forward to a very productive and fruitful two-day event. Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat.
Thank you very much, Yusek Sahagun, for giving us the backgrounder, as well as to Director Cesar for setting the tone of our two-day event. Okay, so for now, may we request everyone to please ready themselves for our photo opportunity. And po, no? So, meron po tayong, makikita po natin ata dito sa screen. We just have to smile and be beautiful and handsome at this moment, ano? Yan, okay, habang hinahanda po. And yung mga kasama din po siguro natin dito sa ating Google Meet, pwede po kayo mag-open ng inyong cameras for our photo opportunity. Okay? Ready na po ba? Punta po dito sa harapan. Okay, maybe request, dito na lang po. Okay, so dito na lang daw po sa harapan ang, kasi andun po yung camera natin, ano? Yan, ayun po yung camera natin sa taas. Okay, yan, sige po. Pwede po ba lahat tumayo? Okay, dito po. Tapos yung mga nandito po sa gilid, pwede pong pumunta dito. Opo. Yung mga nandito po sa gilid ay tumayo, punta po dito sa likod po ng ating official. Okay? Para makita po kayong lahat. Okay, sige po, yung mga nandito po sa gilid, punta po dito sa likod ng ating official so that makita po kayo sa ating pong camera. Yan, yung kayo na lang po. Yung mga nandito po sa gilid. Kita na po ba? Okay na po? Yan. Maliit daw po masyado. Sige, punta na daw po. Proceed na lang daw po dito sa likod kasi masyado daw pong maliit kung i-zoom out ng malawak po, ano? Sige po, punta na po dito sa likod po yung mga nasa sides para makita po kayong lahat sa camera ng malinaw. Sige po. Punta po dito sa likod. Alright. Okay, yan. Zoom in po natin ng very light ang ating camera. Okay, make yourselves presentable for our photo opportunity. Okay. Yan, as well as our Google Meet participants, hello po sa inyong lahat. Yung mga hindi pa po nag-open ng inyong cameras, please open your cameras so that you will be included in our picture po. Okay, 1, 2, 3, smile. May kumukuha po ba sa atin pong Google Meet? Yan. Again, isa pa po. 1, 2, 3, smile. Tapos, 1 DOST daw po na sign. Pati po yun sa Google Meet. 1 DOST sign. Okay, in 3, 2, 1, smile. All right, maraming salamat po. Pwede na po tayo magsibalik sa ating pong mga upuan. And we will now proceed to the session of our SPMS orientation, okay? All right, we may now all settle down. Okay, so gising po ba ang lahat? Gising na gising, pakitaas nga po ang inyong mga kamay. At magsabi na ako ay nanunumpa. Ako ay nanunumpa na mananatiling gising sa buong orientation. Okay, importante po yung ating pag-uusapan. Katulad nga po ng background na shinare po sa atin ni Yusek Sahagon, no? So we must really be active in this 2-day event na meron po tayo. But before that, I would like to again acknowledge the presence of our officials, Yusek Sahagun. We have also ASEC Diana L. Ignacio. We also have Director Pedraza, Attorney Angel, and also our subject matter expert from the CSC, Director Helene Grace. Yan, Helene Grace Ramos, and also our DOST-PSTO directors. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat, and welcome to our SPMS orientation. Okay, moving on with our program. Our subject matter expert is currently the director of the Civil Service Commission with extensive experience and technical expertise in quality management systems, certified to ISO 9001, 2008, and 2015. Performance management, human resource people management standards, and civil service law and rules. She has a diploma in organization development at Ateneo de Manila University. She also graduated for her Bachelor of Arts in Social Sciences at the University of the Philippines, Manila, and Bachelor of Laws at San Beda University, Manila. She currently has the CSC's Office for the Strategy Management, or OSM, which serves as the process owner of CSC, architect and integrator of various strategy management functions across the organization. She's currently the Deputy Quality Management Representative of the CSC's Quality Management System. Over 6.5 years she also has a combined experience as Chief of Staff and Head Executive Assistant to the Chairman of the CSC. So, without further ado, let us all welcome with a warm round of applause Director Helene Grace T. Ramos.
Hello, good morning. Am I clear with those who are online, the Google participants online? So can you hear me? Is it okay? Okay. So good morning to each and everyone. So I was invited to help you as you go on your journey on the implementation of the strategic performance management system. Okay. So thank you for that wonderful introduction. So as what I've mentioned, as what was mentioned, I am the director of the OSM, the Office for Strategy Management. That is the pretty name for the planning service, for the planning. Di ba? Pero ganda ng dating, no? Strategy management. Okay. We use the term OSM at the Civil Service Commission because way back during the time of then Chairperson Duque, we adopted as part of our management system the balance scorecard. So at that time, that was our system, no? And our office for planning, no, planning and management was uh, reorganized into the office for strategy management. Okay, so I am tasked to review you into the policies and of course share the practices of the Civil Service Commission on the SPMS. It is actually my office that takes the lead in the implementation of this system within the CSC. So I was invited by Ma'am Isa. Ma'am Isa used to be part of our team and she is now part of your team. So you are very much blessed that actually kaya na ni Ma'am Isa to eh. Pero syempre, she wants someone who has the experience of implementing it organization-wide. Okay. So review muna tayo. So as you can see, no, this is the Civil Service Commission has as the central HR of the Philippine bureaucracy. We have the mandate, no, to implement the performance management the entire bureaucracy. And you can see here that the history of performance management all through the years. Now, as you can see, 1963, 1978, and 1993, the concept is more of performance appraisal. And this is actually what we call the traditional performance appraisal. That the usual practice up to 1999 is that supervisors would rate their respective direct reports or their respective people under them, the people that they supervise, and the usual would be adopting no parameters that would usually subjectively appraise no the performance of an employee. Now, insofar as the CSE is I entered the Civil Service Commission way back in 2001. So, ano talaga, isa na ako sa mga matatanda sa CSC. Pero di naman, di mo ka, matatanda sa CSC. So, at that time, we were evaluated by our supervisors. And there was no alignment or connection with the goals of the organization. So way back when I entered the CSC, we are not aware of our vision and mission. We were not aware, but we are just aware of what assignments that we are given. So I was part of the Office for Legal Affairs then, and we were rated accordingly. So I'm sure those who have been in the service for quite some time, so I can see part of this group who are Gen Xers, just like me. So those who have started in DOST, you know that how we were appraised. Okay. Now, way back in 2005, the PMS Office, this was during the time of Chair Karina David. Now, this was one of the first attempts of the civil service to ensure that the organization's goals, the organization's mandate, ay, hindi ba?
Ako yung home lang pa naman.
Na-escape mo.
Ang tanong mo.
Sige.
Sorry po.
Okay, okay. Yan. Parang inanito nila eh. Hindi rin nakikita yung ano eh. Naayos na. I am just a digital immigrant. So the one home agent is already a native. So okay. So where was I? Now in way back in 2005, during the time of Chair Karina David, we attempted, no? So I was with the CSE then na. There was an attempt, no, to align the mandate, the goals of the agency to the individual. So that's why we had the PMS office. But one of the problems of the PMS office, this was actually quite short-lived. One of the problems of the PMS office then, it was not strategic. I remember there were some individuals, no, in some offices, we were asked to count the number of minutes of phone calls, the number of drafts, yun. So that was the time that the observation of Chair Duque then was, why are we counting number of phone calls? Why are we counting all of these activities? No, so parang it's like being at that time. So the goal then, no, way back in 2012, was to have a performance management system that is strategic, which means that when you measure performance, you should align with the mandate of your agency. What are the goals and indicators, or MFOs, the major final outputs of the agency, and how this is cascaded down to the level of the offices, the departments. Yun sa LGUs kasi they call departments, di ba? Dito, offices, regional offices, and then divisions, and then there are some agencies may service pa, then down to the individual. So in 2012, we instituted the Strategic Performance Management System, and that is currently, so we have been implementing that for 12 years now. That is currently the performance management system for the entire bureaucracy. Okay. So yun. So yun yung ano natin, no? Okay. Yan. Now, SPMS concretizes the linkage organizational performance with the Philippine Development Plan, the strategic plan, and the OPIF. Now, in this case, no, we are now using the PREXI. So those who are in planning, and when you look at all agencies now use the program expenditure, no? Yun yung ating ginagamit ngayon. Okay, so the PREXI. So in the SPMS, there is that goal, no, to cascade institutional accountabilities to the various levels of the organization. Now, those who are familiar with the Philippine Development Plan, and it's like a very thick document. You go to the NEDA website, you can see there what are the indicators that the DOS is responsible for. Now, the overall theme of the Philippine Development Plan is digital transformation. From the concept itself, definitely the Department of Science and Technology takes the lead in that overall goal of the organization. And then you can see there na in the Philippine Development Plan, there are chapters, and I'm sure you are familiar to which chapter you belong. For the CSC, we belong to chapter 14, and there are indicators of the CSC that are enrolled in the results matrix of chapter 14. Now, in DOST, pasensya na kayo, I haven't read the entire PDP, but I'm sure it's better no, if you go through the succeeding caravans. It would be nice to share in terms of alignment of the DOST to the entire Philippine bureaucracy and to the overall plan of Ambition 2040. What chapter do you belong? And what are the indicators? No? So we could actually discuss that tomorrow. What indicators of the PDP that the DOST is responsible for? Now, the agency strategic plan in relation to the OPIF or the PREXI, I'm sure the Secretary Solidum and your USECs have already cascaded. What are your strategic priorities? What are your strategic objectives? Now, why is it important for each and every one of us who are part of the DOS team to be familiar with the strategic priorities and the strategic objectives of DOST? Because this is where you need to understand as a civil servant belonging to the DOST, where are you in the scheme of things? Now, you have a strategy map. It's very important that when you look at your strategy map, you should be able to understand, where am I in that strategy map? Saan ako doon? So, importante yon. That's very important because the first thing in understanding alignment of your work, of your duties and responsibilities is to understand your linkage to the strategic priorities and the mandate of the DOST. Okay. Now, of course, one of the focus of the SPMS is linking between the organization, which is the DOST in this case, and the individual employee using employee performance using the same set of indicators. Now, the same set, what I mean here is alignment. Okay, not necessarily same indicators. Because you can see later on when we do our workshop, your indicators from the Prexy down to the office, down to the individual, there is alignment. But that doesn't necessarily mean they have the same indicators. Okay. Now, under the RBPMS, of course, the relationship of the RBPMS and its transformation to the Prexy is still very much the same, okay? It creates an accurate, accessible, up-to-date, government-wide sectoral, and of course, the OPIF, okay? Determining the entitlement to performance-based allowances, incentives, or compensation of government employee. And I will show later on what are the incentives that are related to the SPMS. Okay? And it's very important to cascade indicators from societal. When we say societal indicators, Philippine Development Plan yan. Okay? Also in relation to the sectoral, you belonging to one particular sector in our government and down to the organization, the DOST. That's why on the part of our leaders, led by your secretary, it is their goal to align with the societal and sectoral goals. And when we say societal goals, not only is it the Philippine Development Plan, but also the SDGs. Yun, sa pangkalahatan na yun, sa world na yun. So, very important that there is a clear understanding of our leaders on how they align. Now, on the part of the DOST leadership, they, in their focus to align to the societal and sectoral goals, they formulated strategic objectives. And this is the strategic objectives that would set the tone and the plan on how the DOST will move forward, will attain its goals, and will contribute to what we call Ambition 2040. I'm sure, have you heard of Ambition 2040? Yung ano, yun yung ano natin, that is the overall ambition of the Philippines. Okay? Yung ano, yung matatag, panatag, ano? Matatag. Ayun, matatag, maginhawa at panatag na buhay. Okay, so yun. So importante yan. When you go through your planning sessions, dapat nire-reiterate yan because yun na ang ating ano, goal. Now, here are the features of the strategic performance management system. Okay, and if you read MC, if I remember it right, it's an MC issued in 2012, MC6. These are the overall features of the SPMS. I will be providing, ano, I'm sure si Ma'am Isa, we have a, medyo hindi na updated, pero nandun, we have actually SPMS. Okay. But of course, this presentation, I'll provide this presentation to you. You can actually use this as a reference. Okay. So the SPMS features, we want to link individual performance to the agency's vision, mission, and strategic goals or strategic objectives. Question. Are you aware of the DOST's vision and mission? You should be able to understand it. So, magtatawag ba ako, ma'am? Actually, I know that you, di ba you are ISO certified, right? O, di pinapamemorize yan, pati yung quality policy, di ba? Okay. Now, importante alam niyo yung vision mission. Okay? Like for us in the CSC, alam namin yung vision and mission namin. Mission namin is gawing lingkod bayani ang bawat kawani. So gusto namin maging lingkod bayani kayo. O yun ang aming goal. Okay? Yung vision, ni-revise namin yan because we are under a new chair, no? So yun. So dapat alam niyo yan, yung vision and mission. Okay? Next feature of the SPMS, it ensures employees and organizations achieve their strategic objectives. So that's the goal. Okay? And then it's part of the heart of HR system. The SPMS will provide information produced useful for HR planning, management, and decision-making processes. But actually, SPMS is about performance. And part of the SPMS is managing the data of performance. And when we say performance, the performance of the agency, performance of each offices, and then the performance of the individual. And then part of the feature then, it follows a 4-stage cycle. And I will walk you through this 4-stage cycle once again. Okay? Next. Now, as we can see, no, when it comes to alignment, the first thing that we focus on is the Philippine Development Plan. Okay, so the performance goals of the DOST must align to the agency mandate and organizational priorities. So, syempre, these are what we look into: the National Development Plan or the Philippine Development Plan, the agency mandate and vision, the agency's strategic priorities, and of course, your Prexy indicators. And then, this must be cascaded to the department, in this case, the Department of Science and Technology, the agency's mandate, and strategic priorities. So, this particular focus, we are still on that org level, the perspective of the organization or the perspective of DOST. So, well, like what I've said, we align, no, to the Philippine Development Plan. Okay. Now, what are the basic elements, no, of the SPMS? Like what I've said, we align to the agency mandate and organizational priorities. And another feature, it is outputs and outcomes based. That's why the CSC at that time, we veered away from the PMS office. Because if you put as an output the number of phone calls or the number of letters that you have typewritten, di ba? Usually yan. Or kung sa GSD namin, yung General Services Division, the number of aircons cleaned, yung mga ganon. But the question is, are these just activities or are these outputs or outcomes? Okay, so it's very important when we look at your IPCR, DPCR, and OPCR. Very important to look at what you are trying to produce. Are you just measuring activities, or are you actually measuring outputs and outcomes based? No, and of course, we will discuss later the difference between an output and an outcome, but that is the focus of the SPMS. We are outputs and outcomes based. Now, another feature is the quality of the SPMS is it has a team approach to performance management. So I'm sure you've already heard of the practice or the principle of the SPMS. I don't know if you practice this here, but before in the CSC, in the early stages when we were implementing the SPMS, there was this policy that the average rating of the people in a division, and let's say an office have several divisions, the average rating of the individuals should not be more than the rating of the office. Okay? So if the office only got a rating of VS, or let's say a numerical rating of 4.5, then there is a slight problem if the average rating of all of the individuals in that office is 4.9. Diba? Usually we follow a 5-point scale, right? Or a 5-point rating system. So that's actually one, okay? Because you can see that there is a potential question as to the alignment of the indicators of the individual, then the division, and the office. Okay. But of course, that is not a hard and fast rule. Di naman yung eksaktong-eksakto, 4.2 lang yung office, tapos 4.9. Dito na po papasok yung calibrating. Okay, but that's another story. I'm jumping way ahead. Okay. So, why am I saying this as an example? Because you can see here that when it comes to an office, if you belong to an office, it's very important that you know how you would contribute to your office's OPCR. So when you look at the office performance commitment form of your office, you should be able to identify as an individual, no matter what position you have, you should be able to identify where you belong. So pag tinignan niyo yung OPCR nyo, I contribute to here, I contribute to here, to here. So dapat. Now the question is, if your indicators do not contribute to the achievement of the targets of the office, then there is a problem. No? Then there is a problem. Okay? Always dapat, you should be able to explain how you belong or how you contribute to the OPCR of your office. Okay. And then, of course, the goal, well, we wanted to use user-friendly forms, okay? But I would show the forms later on, and you can raise questions whether it's user-friendly or not, okay? But currently, the CSC is reviewing the strategic performance management system because we've been implementing it for 12 years. So medyo matagal-tagal na rin. So that's why there is already goal to review it. Okay. Now, one of the important features of the SPMS is all agencies who have implemented it has one way or the other formulated an information system and supports monitoring and evaluation. For example, in the Civil Service Commission, it is my office that monitors the entire scorecard of the Civil Service Commission. So we collaborate with our field offices, regional offices, and all of the offices at the central office. I collaborate with them. My team collaborates with them to get all of this data, and we are responsible for monitoring our Prexy indicators for one. That's why it is also my office that is primarily responsible for PBB compliance. Sir, ikaw rin ba yung sa PBB? Yeah, yung PBB compliance, there's always, usually it's the planning office planning and finance in partnership with HR. So silang usually tatlo yan. Okay? So yun, there, most likely here in the CSC, in the OST, you have already that monitoring system, di ba? Of reporting of your indicators, accomplishments, etc. Okay. And very important, there is a communication plan. This is what you're doing now with your caravan. That is part of the communication plan. Because it's very important that that the entire organization should be able to be on the same page on how you would implement your SPMS. Okay? Now, who are, of course, the key players? We have the agency head, the secretary in your case, who will be the SPMS champion. And as what was mentioned by Yusek a while ago, clearly there is the support of top management, no? Your USECs, your ASECs, okay, the secretary, in moving forward the SPMS. Then, of course, we have the performance management team. Now, there is under the policy of the Civil Service Commission, there is a list of officers, no, of officials who should be part of the performance management team. Of course, we have the highest official that to be designated by top management, in this case by the secretary. Then important would be the head of HR, the head of finance, the head of planning, and then of course, these are the mandatory, no, members of the performance management team. Now, under the policy of the CSC, the performance management team here is the yung org level, top level na management team. In recent years, although it's not provided for under the policy, there was already a practice that each office would have a PMT, or each regional office would have a PMT responsible for the management of SPMS within that office or within that section, or that maybe a cluster. It depends. Okay. Now in the CSC, there is a PMT that is composed. We have actually regional representatives who are members of our PMT. But at the same time, each office, like my office, Office for Strategy Management, we also have a PMT there that is responsible for the IPCRs of the people. Yung PMT dito is responsible for the OPCRs. OPCRs ito. Ito yung kino-contemplate. But remember, your performance management team now, iilan lang yan. Practices, hindi sila responsible sa IPCRs ng buong agency. Yung responsible sa IPCRs, yun yung PMT sa bawat opisina. So that's what we practice now. Of course, a key player is the planning office. In our case, it is the OSM, the Office for Strategy Management. And then the HR office. Yan yung team ni Ma'am Isa. Isa ka sa observation ko when I was having, kasi I was here early, your HR is just one division. No? Isang division lang siya, no? So parang medyo maliit siya to manage the entire DOST. Okay. Of course, the head of office, the director 4 or equivalent, and then the division chief or equivalent, and the individual employees. Okay. Question so far? May tanong po? Okay, so kung wala, let me proceed. Now, let's go now to the SPMS forms. Of course, as I mentioned, we have the OPCR. This is at the level of the office. Okay. Now, in the structure of departments, you would usually have, of course, the office of the secretary. You have USECs, and the USECs they supervise certain offices, right? So may clusters of offices sila. Ganon din sa CXC. Sa CSC, We have the commission, but we don't have USECs. We have assistant commissioners. And assistant commissioners have their cluster of offices which they oversee slash they have functional supervision. And then each office, we have 16 regional offices, and then we have around 16 offices at the CO. I belong to the CO. We are one of the offices there. Now, the 16 offices in the CO, the 16 regional offices, and all of the assistant commissioner offices, they have OPCRs. They have OPCRs. Now, there is a challenge now I'll be candid in the CSC as to the OPCRs of the executive offices of the commission. But what is practiced now is the scorecard of the commission is the scorecard of the entire CSC. So yun yung ano ngayon, yun yung vantage point ngayon. Now, the practice of the executive offices, since they are coterminous, the practice now is, since they support the members of the commission, what they use is IPCRs. IPCRs, okay? Kasi medyo mahirap kung yung, kunyari, office ni Chair Nograles, office ni Chair, ni Commissioner Lisada and Commissioner Acosta. Bibigyan mo ng OPCR bawat isa. Eh sila na nga yung top management. Parang binigyan, may OPCR ba ang OSEC? Does the OSEC, the Office of the Secretary have an OPCR? Yes. Oh, at least the OSEC, no? Yes, ma'am. Sige, ma'am. The OSEC. Oh, yun, ma'am. Okay, so yun, no? So, but in this case, ang pinaka-OPCR ng commission namin is the agency PCR, yung Agency Performance Commitment Review. Okay, although the SPMS guidelines does not provide for APCR, but syempre as an agency, yung PREXI ninyo, yun actually yung APCR. Okay, among other things. Okay. Then of course, the next form is the DPCR, the division. And then, there are some agencies kasi, ma'am, do you still have sections? May sections, yun. Yeah. Because there are some agencies, after DPCR, may sections. Yun. Okay? In the CSC, after DPCR, individual na IPCR na sa CO. Pero sa RO, after the DPCR, we have field offices. FOPCR naman yun. Okay? And then, of course, we have the IPCR. So in your case, OPCR, tapos si division, OPCR yung mga directors yan. And I'm sure the ASECs and the USECs, they also have their OPCRs, respective OPCRs. Now on the next level would be the divisions. Then there are section heads or section chiefs. May agency, may sections pa eh. Okay, so pwede yun sections. And then, for each, after the section, IPCR na. So it would actually depend on the organizational structure of the agency. Usually, OPCRs are directors, DPCRs are division chiefs, okay? And yung mga DPCR, FOPCR, ito yung mga commitment reviews ng those who have supervisory functions that they supervise a team. Okay, pag IPCR, pag wala kang sinusupervise. So ikaw na lang 'yon. Yun na yung individual performance commitment review. Okay. Now, for the OPCR, of course, the Office Performance Commitment Review, usually this is for department heads, pag LGUs or heads of offices, pag sa NGAs. Okay? Now, the DPCR, the Division Performance Commitment Review, of course, this is for division chiefs. IPCR would be for individuals, okay, or for all employees. Okay. Okay, so let's go down now to the nitty-gritty. How are success indicators categorized in OPCR, DPCR, and IPCR? Okay. Now, there are actually two perspectives when we go to look at success indicators. Okay, the first perspective is yung kinatawag na category A, okay, and category B. Now, for category A, it's actually more of how you would look at success indicators. Now, for each organization, if you would look at your Prexy structure, Prexy, ito yung operations. Ito yung carrying out the mandate of DOST. Okay? So alam nyo kung saan kayo. You take a look at this categorization and you reflect on your offices. Saan kayo dyan? Operations ba kayo? Support to operations ba kayo? Or yung general administration and support services or gas? Okay? So definitely, your regional offices are operations. Okay? And then, offices here in the central office, di ba ito yung pinaka-central office nyo? Alin dyan ang gas, alin dyan ang STO. Yung mga support to operations, usually secretariat, sa amin, yung CSLO, okay? And then, of course, yung mga planning office, finance office. So you would know among which of these three categories do you belong. Okay. Now, when you look at these indicators under category A, first we have Prexy, the Prexy indicators or operations. If you would look at the budget or the General Appropriations Act, there is a list of Prexy indicators under DOST. And this is the measurement of your performance as an agency or as a department. So you have adopted Prexy indicators. Now, the Prexy indicators defines the mandate of the DOST. And you can see this later on. Okay? I'll try to, mas maganda with Isa kung pwede ang pahingi copy ng Prexy indicators nyo. Your Prexy indicators. That's actually a GAA. Then, we have STO, support to operations, and we have gas. Okay? What's the differences among these three categories? Goods and services mandated to be delivered by the agencies to external clients. And this is implemented through our PAPs, our programs, projects, and activities. Sino dito mga taga-finance? May taga-finance pa dito? O, yung finance. O, alam niyo yan, Prexy, di ba? So, when you formulate the proposed 2025 budget, budget season ngayon, di ba? Kaya hindi na sila natutulog, yung mga nasa budget. Okay? Budget season, when you take a look at the proposed budget of DOST, you would see there, these are our Prexy indicators. And at the same time, how is this translated to PAPs? So yung PAPs, nandiyon yung budget natin for the programs, the projects, and the activities. And how is this further translated through procurement plans, yung APP, yung PPMP? Actually, if you belong to the HR, to finance, and to planning, we see the interrelatedness of all this. Okay? Kasi, definitely, yung Prexy, yung in-institute niya ng DBM, they are saying is, why do we need to have indicators? Kasi, yun ang nagbibigay ng kwento sa kwenta. Yun, yung kwento sa kwenta. So, tinatanong, saan ginagamit yung budget? O ginagamit natin for our mandate for the delivery of services ng DOST. Pero the question is, how would you know if you are successful in the delivery of your mandate? So, syempre, kailangan may panukatan. So, that's why may Prexy indicators. This is the OPCR, the agency PCR. Okay. Now, we have STO. STO is activities providing technical and substantive support to the operations and projects of the agency. These activities do not produce MFOs. They do not produce the Prexy indicators, okay? But they contribute or enhance the delivery of goods and services. Okay. Support sila. So tayo, mga finance, HR, we provide support. Then we have gas, activities that deal with the provision of overall administrative management, and support to the entire agency operations. Okay, so you can see there that usually they confuse STO and gas, but overall, when we say STO and gas groups, they support the operations. Okay. Now, when you look at the uh, DPCR, OPCR and DPCR of some agencies, they would usually appear. This is actually just a condensed version of the OPCR. So column one, you could list down there what are your programs, no, your PAPs, no, and then it is usually categorized to MFO or operations, STO, and gas. Definitely, operations group would have all of the three categories, like a regional office. A regional office would have indicators under operations or the Prexy. They would have also STO and gas because they have divisions there that provide support. They have their own finance. They have you ever looked at the structure of your regional offices? They are like the little DOST in the region so that they have that. Okay. But question, I belong to OSM planning. Would I have indicators na operations? Maybe, maybe not, okay? But most likely, if I may have one or two indicators under operations. Actually, meron ako eh. Meron ako, no? But most likely, the majority of my indicators in my OPCR are more of STO. Okay? Now, as you can see, under the DPCR, OPCR, DPCR, that is possible. Under the IPCR, it would also depend, no? It would also depend on the office to which the person belongs, okay? So you can see here the category of indicators, no? The first category. We are looking at indicators as to the function of the office per se. Okay. Now, of course, what's the difference between the OPCR and DPCR? You can see here in the OPCR, this is an OPCR form. You would list there your PAPs, what are your success indicators or targets, allotted budget. Some agencies, they don't put the allotted budget anymore. Okay, they leave it blank because they would attach what they call the work and financial plan. Do you have a work and financial plan here? Yon. So, sabi ni Ma'am, meron daw. So, sa CSE, sa OPCRs, hindi na namin nilalagay yung budget diyan. Kasi hindi naman masyadong relevant yung budget. Mas relevant yung budget sa work and financial plan. Okay, you put there the division accountable. Now, the first 4 columns, you fill that up during commitment time, planning time. Okay, planning time. And then the succeeding columns, you fill that up during the time that when you report your accomplishment. Now, the ideal, sige, share tayo experience. The ideal, yung OPCR, dapat, bago matapos yung taon na to, kunyari 2025, dapat bago matapos yung taon na to, towards the last quarter or even the third quarter, you are already preparing your OPCR. Kasi supposedly, your OPCR, dapat bago kayo magsimula ng implementation, pirmado na yan ng mga authorities. Okay? Would it be signed by, lahat ba ng OPCR, si SEC ang pumipirma? Or, yes, si SEC. Okay. So, dapat yan. So, dapat yung OPCR nyo, DPCR, and IPCR, in a perfect world, pirmado na dapat yan bago magsimula yung implementation year. But unfortunately, we do not live in a perfect world. We live in the world known as the Philippine government, where part of the challenge is, I will be candid, yung OPCR, there were years na yung OPC, we haven't reached that yet, that that perfect world yet na prior to. There is that goal, that attempt, no? So meron talaga, may mga ahensya, gitna na ng taon or minsan tapos na yung taon ng OPCR, di pa napipirmahan. May ganon. May ganon. May ganon. May DPCR na ilang taon na, lalo na nag-pandemic tayo, may ilang taon hindi pa agad na formulate. So that is a challenge. But in a perfect world, sabi ko nga, OPCR, DPCR, IPCR, that should have been, if you are very well adept in planning, down to the individual level, should have been signed actually prior to the implementation of that commitment review. Okay. Now, when it comes to the DPCR, you can see here the division accountable. But when we go to the division, the DPCR, wala na yung division accountable. Instead, ang lalabas na individual accountable. So if this is a DPCR, yung division accountable, mapapalitan na yan ng individual accountable. Or if your structure, there is a section, pwede naman section accountable. And the name na nakasulat dyan, usually, yung chief or yung head ng section. Okay? Okay. Now, what is the next category of success indicators? You just tell me if we will go on a break. Because it's a time check, it's 11:20, or do we go? Yeah, we finish it up until 12, ma'am. Okay, 12 na. Okay. Now, category B, classification of success indicators. Ito na yung set of indicators that you would usually see in your OPCR, DPCR. Yung minention kong operations, STO, and gas, these are indicators or more of the classification of offices. More of the classification of offices ito. Okay? Now, when you look at your OPCR, you have your core functions, your strategic functions, and your support functions. Now, ano yung difference ng tatlo? Core. Functions that implement and deliver an office's mandate. So ano ang mandato nyo? Kung yung finance, ang mandato nila, budget, medyo nandun din yung disbursement of funds, di ba? Yung mga financial reports. Basta yung finance office, nandun lahat yung reports ng DBM. Tsaka COA. Yun. Kanila yun, toka nila yun. Okay? So, for example, if you would look at, and I will share later on our regional offices, OPCRs. But for example, sa core, if you would look at the OPCR of our regional offices, most likely their indicators there are the services that they provide to the region. Now, next is we have strategic functions. Okay. Now, these are indicators that are one-time, big-time projects or activities. Sometimes, like I'm sure the DOST is one of those agencies that has a lot of projects, and even projects that that are being implemented by virtue of developmental partners like the World Bank, OSAID, JICA, I'm sure, definitely, marami kayong mga, or yung projects that are by virtue of international cooperations. Now, if your office is particularly tasked with the implementation of that project, diyan papasok yan, strategic functions, okay? Now, under strategic functions, these are temporary, time-bound endeavors. Okay, and then lastly, we have support functions. These are the functions that provide the necessary resources. Now, support functions in each office, like in the CSC, what we measure here are reportorial requirements. What are the reports that we need to submit to the different offices? Another measure is the learning and development interventions of our people. Isa yon. And then our management of finances. Okay, so one of the indicators under support is budget utilization. We also target our budget utilization per office. Okay. Now, when you look at this is an example of an OPCR or a DPCR, you would see there the three categorization of functions. Core function, strategic, and then support. Question, what is the distribution of, to get the overall rating, how much would you allot for core, for strategic, and for support? 60, 30, and 10. Okay. Now, in the practice of the CSC, we more or less adhere to that. However, there are certain practices na medyo na-calibrate yung 60, 30, 10. The 60, 30, 10, in my opinion, although it doesn't provide in the policy, that's not a hard and fast rule. Hindi siya kailangan 60. Because in our experience sa CSC and with other government agencies, sometimes hindi feasible yung 60, 30, and 10. Why? May nakita kaming agency na yung strategic function niya ay implementation ng isang office, implementation ng isang malaking project. So there can be that instance wherein your strategic function will have higher percentage than your core. Okay. Usually, maglalaro lang yan between core and strategic. Yung support, never naman yung support magiging higher than core or strategic. Now, let's not confuse yung support function dito doon sa support group. Because if you belong to the support group, support and gas, yung ginagawa naming planning, function, yan, financial, yun yung core nila. Okay? So for example, yung submission of reports ng finance or yung pag-formulate nila ng budget, while it is a support function in the scheme of things, actually, it is their core. Yeah, it is their core. Okay? Bisa kasi nako-confuse yun eh. Noon, nung bata-bata pa kami, nako-confuse sila dyan. Okay? No, don't be confused. Now, sometimes, what if, let's say, kunyari kami sa planning office, all of our outputs are core, but they actually are not Prexy, because yung core, like what I've said, that's the mandate of the office. And since we belong to different offices, we have different mandates. Okay? So, yan. Now, there are instances also in the experience of CSC that we do not have strategic function kasi project. Our secretariat that provides the secretariat services to the commission, kasi commission kami, nagko-commission meeting yung mga yan, no? Yung aming members of the commission. So we have a commission secretariat. Wala silang project. Our support function is just 10%. So what happened, sila yung isa sa mga offices na yung core functions nila 90%. And then 10% lang yung support kasi wala silang strategic. Okay. Very hard naman kasi to say, oh, kailangan may project kayo, may strategic kayo. Not necessarily, because these are instances na, especially if you have yung ComSec law namin, they are a very small office with very limited people. And that's why all of the energy and all of the resources are being used to perform the core. Wala na silang way para mag-project or mag-process improvement or whatever, no? Okay. So yun. That's That's one of the realities. Okay. Now, what are the advantages of categorizing the success indicators? Be it from the perspective of Prexy, operations, STO and gas, or from the perspective of core, strategic functions, and support. Okay, first, you clearly identify which indicator supports each category. Okay. Next, also it's for easy monitoring and evaluation and for percentage of weight allocation. Okay. Now, let me talk a little more about weight allocation. Now, in some instances, like in the CSC, we adopt 60-30-10 when it comes to the when it comes to our distribution, no, from core, strategic, and support, and we adjust this, we calibrate this in accordance with the circumstances of the office. However, as the performance management team, because me as the head of the planning office, I also sit in the PMT, we should also, the vantage point of your performance management team is to look across offices and not just one office. That's why part of yung support function namin, 10% yon across all CO offices. Now, across RO offices, 20% siya. Why? Because our RO, they submit a lot of reports. A lot of reports. Sila na yung parang part of yung isang office nila, isang division doon is they provide monitoring reports. Remember, yung Prexy indicators, yun yung madalas na pine-perform ng mga ROs. Because sila yung delivery units sa amin. That's why ang dami nilang sinasubmit na report. So, the distribution, if I remember it right, is 60, 20, 20. 60 for core, 20 for strategic, and 20 for support. Ayan. And then, dun sa 60% mo na core, but wait, there's more. There's also weight allocation. May ibang offices, 60%, basta itong 10 indicators namin, 60% na. So whatever's the average of those indicators, you'll give that 60%. But there are other offices, and example ko si Ma'am Isa. Ma'am Isa used to belong to our policies office. That's why during the time that she was with CSC, yung pag-perform ng mga pag-formulate ng mga policies na ito, kasama siya doon. Okay? So, she used to belong to our policies office. Yung policies office namin, yung indicators nila under core, may weights. So, since they are the policy office, they accorded a bigger weight. So, yung 60% na pie, merong mga offices, they would still distribute that to make 60%. So may ganon na may distribution. Yung regions namin, so para naman hindi yung indicators ng regions namin, same indicators sila lahat, same weights. Same. Same na same sila. Kaya nga madaling evaluate ang regions because they are all the same in terms of OPCRs. Okay? So that's one. Okay? Sige, kung you tell me later on pag nag-open forum tayo if we have the same experience. But I will show you later on the OPCRs of our region. Okay? Now, the SPMS is very important because it's one of the pillars of the prime HRM. That is performance management. And when we implement our SPMS, it links to several things, several HRM systems. First, to learning and development. At the individual level, isn't it, we have a policy that under the civil service law and rules that when we get unsatisfactory, that is the sign for the supervisor and the head of office to provide learning and development interventions. Okay. Kasi, di ba, pag two successive na unsat, it is already a ground for dropping from the rolls. So, before you drop the person, you should exert effort in order to save that person, di ba? So, you will provide learning and development opportunities. In the CSC, this is also linked to learning and development opportunities because you would know if the person not performing well by virtue of the rating in his or her IPCR, then it is what should the supervisor do? Then learning and development intervention, coaching is one. When we say learning and development, that's not just training, It's on the job training, it's coaching and mentoring, it's guiding, etc. Now, the SPMS also links to various HR intervention, uh, promotion, dropping from the roles, okay? And among others, okay? So they are also related to those different HR actions. Okay? Definitely, the SPMS is linked to rewards and recognition. Under the, by the way, I also sit as a member of the technical working group of AO25, yung performance-based bonus. Then definitely, ever since your IPCR is related to you qualify. As an individual, you must have at least VS na ngayon in order to qualify for the performance-based bonus. Okay? And also, sa OPCR level, since contribution to the Prexy, contribution to all of the other uh, all other factors no of the criteria of the PBB related yan. Okay? Then finally, of course, ayun nga na-mention ko promotion and other HR actions. Okay? Okay? Questions so far? Just a few minutes na lang before we break. Now, we go now to the stages. I mentioned that there is a 4-stage performance SPMS cycle. First, we do performance planning. Okay. Now, in most organizations, I just like to share how do we do planning in the Civil Service Commission. As early as July, we have what we call the interface, the planning interface. So this is the time when all of the offices meet with one another. Medyo madali na mag-meet ngayon kasi you can meet online. Kaya siya naman tawagin kung pa namin lahat ng mga ROs, okay? So, yung performance planning during the interface period, what we usually do, this is the time that when we formulate as early as August, the 2025 OPCRs and the 2026 OPCRs. Oh, ba't yung tinatanong nyo, ba't ang aga? Yung 2026. Eh, di ba yung 2025, gagamitin pa lang siya coming 2025. Bakit pati 2026? Why? What do you think? Why? Because first quarter of 2025, you formulate the 2026 budget. Okay. We do it in advance. Why? Because the OPCRs of the different offices is the basis for the formulation of the work and financial plan. Yung work and financial plan and the OPCRs should be aligned. Your indicators under your WFP should also be your indicators under your OPCR. Now, yung formulation ng 2026 OPCR and indicative work and financial plan, these are inputs for our 2026 budget. Okay. So, ganun ang pag-formulate. Pero ngayon lang yan na noon, in years ago, hindi ginagawa yan. What we usually do, it's our finance, they just formulate the budget tapos. Kung ano yung practices last year or ano yung budget last year, konting adjustments na yun din ang budget this year. Pero hindi yan eh, kasi pag hindi mo ginawa yon, yung advance yung work and financial mo, tsaka yung 2026 mo, advance ng konti, it would lead to a situation wherein pag nag-implement ka na at you did not consider it sa budget, ang tendency ngayon, may mga offices, humihingi sila ng budget na hindi na provide sa propose. Kasi remember, our 'di ba ngayon 2025 budget. So yung 2025 budget, the proposed budget ngayon ng CSC, ang inputs doon ay yung 2025 indicative OPCRs and 2025 indicative WFPs. Kasi yung WFPs, nandun yung proposed budget eh. What if let's say, yung Office for Legal Affairs, yung legal namin, what if let's say, gusto nila in 2025, merong legal congress. Kasi the yung mga lawyers dito. Yung MCLE ng mga maraming lawyers sa CSC, pinoprovide yan ng CSC. So, hinihingi rin namin yan as budget kasi L&D yan eh. Oo. So what if nag-MCLE kami? Di ba yung mandatory continuing legal education? Pag sinabi ng legal namin, ay gusto namin mag-MCLE, saan namin kukunin yun kung hindi siya na-approve sa proposed budget? What if yung isang field office namin, uy, binigyan kami ng lupa ni governor, pwede kami mag-build ng field office. Pero pag wala yun sa proposed budget, hindi yun nabigay ng DBM, hindi magagawa yun. So that's the purpose why performance planning, you do it. Now, last year, we formulated our 2025 indicative OPCRs and indicative work and financial plan. Pati regions namin, gumawa sila. Kasi may input din yung regions. Okay. But at the same time, we also formulated our 2024 OPCRs and 2024 work and financial plan. Why? Bakit parang paulit-ulit? Kasi malalaman pa lang natin yung NEP, yung budget natin, yung GAA natin, nalaman lang natin nitong towards the latter part of the year. Di ba, lumabas yung NEP. Siyempre, di ba, merong mga nabigay ng DBM, merong hindi, di ba? So, towards the latter part of the year, we would now revise or adjust our indicative OPCRs. Yung ginawa namin noon, i-adjust na namin yan because definitely the 2024 OPCRs and our work and financial plan would now fill in the details that we need to do for performance. Okay. Currently, we are done with our 2024 OPCRs, and these have already been reviewed by our PMT and so on. And then we have this exercise known as the Performance Management Review and Budget Defense. Early this January, pinatawag lahat yung offices namin before the commission, tapos ide-defend mo yung OPCR mo at saka yung financial plan. Kasi syempre, meron ding distribution ng reallocation ng resources, di ba? So ganun 'yun. So after our budget defense and our performance management review being done by our commission, we revise our OPCRs and our WFPs and then yun nga, for signing ng siya ngayon ng commission. Now, ideally sana, yung mga activities sa sinabi ko, dapat matapos yon by the end of the year. It is of last year. But it is the goal now, since we have already a calendar, we have a performance management calendar, we hope that we would be able to successfully do that this year. Okay? Buti medyo naayos na namin yung slippage namin when it comes to time. Okay? So performance planning. Like what I've said, in a perfect world, your OPCRs, DPCRs, and IPCRs that should have been discussed finalized and signed before the end of, yung for implementation ng 2025, dapat before the end of this year. Okay. Question, are your OPCRs for 2024, DPCRs and IPCRs, signed na sila ngayon? Approved and signed na? Kaya mo, ano, do not cry, ganun din naman kami. Question. Question. Kung hindi pa napipirmahan yung OPCR, pwede ka ba bang mag-formulate ng DPCR at saka IPCR? Or do you wait for the OPCR na mapirmahan? No, not necessarily ha. Kasi kayong mga directors, control nyo naman yung DPCR at saka yung IPCR. Control nyo yon. So, whether hindi pa nasa-sign yung OPCR, pero nandun na yung plan, hindi naman usually magbabago yun eh. May konting refinements lang. So, you can still proceed with formulating your DPCR and IPCR. There is this misnomer na if hindi pa na-sign yung OPCR, hindi pa siya na-formulate, maghihintay lang ako. No, not necessarily. Because there are some instances, tama si ma'am, sabi ni ma'am, nagawa na kasi yung broad strokes, nandun niya yung OPCR, makakaskade yun na yun. Kasi syempre kung hihintayin nyo pa yung matapos yung OPCR ninyo, di ba nag-i-implement na kayo? So mas maganda, may mga panukatan na yung mga division nyo, mga sections nyo, at saka yung inyong mga individuals. Okay? Sige. We will actually end with this particular slide. I just give an overview of each of the ano. Okay? Now, we go to performance monitoring, performance planning, and then perfect world again. Nasign na lahat from OPCR to IPCR. We go now to performance monitoring. Diba? Once you are ongoing yung implementation, parang ano, di ba tayo, mga ISO people, plan, do, check, act. Di ba? So yung plan, ayan yan. Yung do, ito na, si performance monitoring. Although that's more of check, right? That's more of check. But why do we put it as we relate it with do? Because as you perform, as you implement, you need to monitor. So this is actually the do and check part, okay? So performance monitoring. You monitor. Now in the Civil Service Commission, we monitor monthly. In terms of our OPCRs, there is usually a monthly report. Pero walang rating monthly reports lang, okay? We do monthly reports. And then, of course, at the part of the role of my office is we ensure that all of the reports, we monitor the PREXI and the enterprise scorecard of the CSC. Okay? Now, in terms of the level of the division and the individual, what does monitoring incur? It would require, no, it's performance monitoring. It would require, no, the engagement of your teams, of your divisions. Performance monitoring may be done through meetings, accountability meetings, etc. That's part of performance monitoring. And then next stage is performance evaluation. Ito yung check. Performance evaluation, this is a time under the SPMS, performance evaluation is done semestral. Pero di ba, pare-pareho tayo may experience dun sa slippage natin na delay. So since hindi pa nasasign ng OPCR, hindi pa siya na-finalize, so medyo, question, do you still hold the performance evaluation in abeyance? No. What we do is, since dumaan na, di ba sabi ko nga pending pa sa commission yung finalization, yung pag-sign nila. Pero na ano na yun, dumaan na yun sa review ng commission, review ng PMT. So while we're waiting for that, ano pa lang April, towards May and June, kung hindi pa siya nasa-sign, we will still proceed with performance evaluation. Okay, we will still proceed. Why? Because it's very important that when you do the evaluation, you can focus on how it will be evaluated using the existing, kumbaga yung latest form ng OPCR. So okay lang yon, okay lang yun. So okay lang to do performance evaluation. If ever there are adjustments, then you can just readjust. Kaysa naman you wait until forever, no? Because there was a time ganyan especially during the pandemic. Diba? Yung first year ng pandemic ng 2020, diba? Ano tayo? Nasa bahay lang tayo lahat. Tapos we weren't able to adjust pa to work from home. Kaya ang dami naming slippage. Would you believe? Until 2022, nire-review pa namin yung 2020 at 2021 performance namin. Late talaga. Kasi nga dahil sa pandemic eh. Oo. Oy. Siyempre, isipin nyo yun, ilang months yun isipin nyo yun, March tayo na ECQ, di ba? Tapos until the end of the year, wala na. Nung nagsimula na lang na medyo nag-normalize konti, mga 2021, di ba? Minsan hindi pa fully, not unlike now. Not unlike now. Okay. Then the last stage is performance rewarding or development and recognition. Now, depending on the performance of the office, if you talk it from the office level, the OPCR level, of course, the performance ratings would result in reward system like the performance-based bonus. Remember the PBB before? Di ba, we rank the offices as good, better, and best. Di ba, yung mga datihan, di ba, dati good, better, best yan eh. Ngayon wala na yung good, better, best. But as you can see, yung relevance ng rating. Okay? Now, there are also, part of also having the ratings is rewards. In the CSC, those who have very high, of course, they are considered for promotion. Siyempre, when you are part of your PSB, you would gravitate towards those individuals who have very good performance ratings. That's one of the considerations. Also, there are instances, there are some agencies, especially those who have very good rewards and recognition systems, they would look at the ratings as a basis for rewards. The PBB is one because you need to have at least very satisfactory. That is satisfactory lang. You need to have at least very satisfactory rating in order to be qualified for the PBB. Okay. So yon. Now, why development? Developmental interventions. What if, let's say, at the end of the year, an individual would get ANSAT or poor? Di ba dapat ANSAT, first sem pa lang, makita mo na ANSAT siya because you need to provide developmental interventions to that person. Para, if in the second sem, ganun pa din, unsat pa din siya, despite providing these interventions, then you already have ground for dropping from the rolls. But in reality, very seldom ako, experience ko sa CSC, especially sa cases that I handled before sa legal, once pa lang ako nakakita ng dropping from the rolls because of of rating. Madalas sa absence, 'di ba? Yung 30 days without leave na absence. Yun yung madalas na dropping from the rolls. Pero yung dropping from the rolls dahil unsat at saka poor, once lang. Tapos kinwestiyon niya. Kaso walang binigay na interventions yung supervisor. Kaya napawalang bisa yung dropping. Oo. So there are specific rules when it comes to dropping. Pero alam nyo, tayo kasi mga Pilipino, mababait tayo eh. Hindi, aminin nyo na, mababait tayo. Basta yung mga, those individuals who are, the term there is NPA, non-performing assets. Yung mga non-performing assets sa gobyerno, Di natin inaalis. Binibigyan lang, pinagbibigyan, pinagsasabihan, pero hindi natin dinadrop from the roles. Kung nasa United States yan, ako, tagal na fired yan, di ba? Okay. Okay. O sige. So it's 5 minutes to 12. So I think we should stop here, no? For the for now. Are there any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Kanina po, you mentioned yung, sabi niyo po, whether may signed OPCR na or wala, we can proceed with the preparation or processing of DPCR and IPCR.
For performance evaluation?
Yes.
Oo.
Opo. Pero, di ba, even in the commitment setting, pero I think gusto ko pong ipa-clarify if dapat, di ba, magkakascade po from the office down to division and individual. Meaning,
Yeah.
the division and individual cannot identify their commitments unless nakaset ito sa office level.
Yeah.
So, ito pong statement nyo kanina is only depends whether signed or hindi signed yung OPCI natin. Pero dapat nagkaroon ng proseso on how the office commitments have been cascaded to the division and individual.
Ideally kasi, di ba, dun sa cycle na sinabi ko, when you are formulating, di ba we hold the interface? Parang bibingka approach yan. Or top-down, bottom-up. Okay. When I formulate my proposed OPCR for 2024, I should formulate that with my team. So within OSM, mag-uusap-usap kami as a team and we are going to review. Usually naman yan, hindi naman tayo nag-start from scratch. Meron naman yung previous. So your team, kunyari, isang opisina sa OSM, I have 2 divisions and I manage around, we are 20 people in my team. 1 office kami sa CSC. So what we usually do, when that's already cascading and planning. When we formulate our OPCR and our work and financial plan, there is what we call operations planning within the office. So definitely, hindi siya yung si director, gagawa siya ng OPCR, tapos sa kanya ikakascade sa mga tao. No. Remember, this is a team approach. It's very important that your division chiefs and members of your team, ngayon depende sa laki ng office, pero very important na yung division chiefs or yung section chief or heads, involved sila sa pag-formulate ng OPCR ng opisina. Okay. So what if, let's say, we have already formulated as a team, pwede kasing right there and then, igawa na rin yung DPCR at saka IPCR ng mga tao. So parang pwedeng holistic yung approach eh. Ngayon, when it comes to the OPCR of OSM, it will pass through the review of the PMT. It will pass through the review of the commission, and then it will be signed. Now, that particular process, more often, takes time. Why? What is the challenge of the PMT? In the CSC, the PMT is composed of assistant commissioners and directors. And we're talking about a set of people who have a lot of things to do, who have a lot of commitments, that the meetings of the PMT are actually a challenge. Nakita ko yun dun sa challenges nyo eh. Diba? Hindi regular. So talaga may challenge yun. Oh, fast forward, level ng komisyon, isa pa yan. So may challenge din. So there is that instance na pumasok na yung implementation year. Ngayon, hindi pa signed yung OPCR namin. Pero ani mo ba yon? Will that hold in abeyance? No. Kasi since I'm a director, the DPCR and the IPCR of my team, I can always adjust that. Kumbaga, ito na yung commitment nyo. Kasi we're implementing na eh. Ito na yung commitment nyo. Sign nyo na yan. And you will be evaluated for that. Okay. So, ganon. It need not wait. It need not wait. Kasi parang ganon. Ito yung team approach. Dapat yung plano ng office involve lahat. Or at least, pero kasi naman kung 100 kayo sa office, parang ang hirap naman i-involve lahat. At least involve the heads. the supervisors. Yun. To get that input. So, ganun yun. Okay? So, ganun. So, is it clear? Is it clear? Okay. Sige. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Sige po. Unless you are recording.
Ma'am, may online participants.
Mukhang you are recording po, ma'am.
Hello.
Eh.
Hello, hello. Ma'am, doon sa category of doon sa
Indicator.
category mayroong core functions, strategic functions, support functions.
Uh-uh.
In reality talaga, there are some unexpected or unplanned.
Yeah.
Saan po yun namin ika-category?
Yan.
Lalo po yung mga network and linkages namin, mga provincial committee members, mga ganon. Which is, it consume a lot of time for us. So, kanina ko pa ho pinag-iisipan, saan ho bag-i-ere
Lalagay.
papasok.
Oo, what if let's say sinabihan kayo ma'am ng secretary, o sige, wag mo nang gawin yan. Gawin mo to. Di ba? Yung may mga unplanned, that would actually eat up the resources of your office. In the CSC, we usually put that in strategic. Yeah. Now, kung related siya sa core, i-recalibrate mo yung ano mo, yung OPCR or IPCR for that matter. I-recalibrate mo in such a way na hindi ko na magagawa ito or babawasan ko yung target ko dito. Pwedeng ganun eh. Then you will revise your OPCR. But it must pass through the PMT. Hindi pwede yung nag-evaluate na sa scoring na tapos saka mo sasabihin, ay hindi ko nagawa to kasi pinagawa ako nito. Eh I'm sure naman yung pinagawa ka nun, dapat before the end of the performance semester. May ganun eh. May experience kaming ganun. Ay ma'am, mag-mic ka para ano.
Kung yun po ay kasi parmado na ng advance yung yung individual yung target namin. So mare-revise?
Yes ma'am, pwede po yun. Yung kunyari, pag OPCR, if it was already signed by the heads of, kunyari, by the secretary, then the secretary gave a new instruction that, let's say, this particular office will do this project. What if there's an opportunity, ganon? Then what the head of office will do, will write the performance management. In practice namin they will inform the performance management team of the change and then provide yung ano yung i-revise nila sa OPCR. It should pass through the PMT.
So ma'am, kung ang case ganyan, papasok yan sa ANA. How do we rate ANA?
Ano yung Ana?
As need arises.
As need arises, how do you rate?
Wala siya sa
Sino si
target, no, di ba? So it should be ANA. Pero paano mo siya i-rate based on quality, efficiency, and ano?
Di kasi usually if it's demand driven, di ba pag may, halimbawa, if there is, depende how you formulate the indicator eh. Let's say, kunyari, meron kasing indicator, dati sa CSC, merong indicator ang isang office. They provide a commitment, but it's demand driven. What if hindi nangyari yun? Diba, as the need arises? Medyo hindi lang clear. What's the indicator, ma'am? Ano yung indicate?
Good morning, ma'am.
Uh-uh.
Nanding Ablasa from PST Rizal.
Yes, sir.
Bali yung kasing sinasabi ni PD Lina is ito yung mga activities na ginagawa namin kasi kailangan. Yeah, accomplished, pero unplanned po siya. Hindi talaga kasama doon
Oo,
sa
but what kind of activity?
marami, kuminsan, maraming basta na lang
Is
na
it a seminar? Is it
Hindi
a
po.
L&D?
meron mga meetings, pero hindi kasama po yung seminar.
Okay. If you would look at meetings, activities, ito lang yung isa kong masasabi. Not all things that we do are rated. Hindi lahat ng ginagawa natin ay kailangan sinusukat o nilalagay sa IPCR, DPCR, at saka ano. For example, ako, yung attendance ko sa AO 25, yung attendance ko sa PDP, mga yon, di na rated yun. Part of your function. So meron talaga mga activities na pinapagawa sa atin, pero not necessarily i-rate tayo doon. Dapat, because we would be led to a situation by which lahat ng bawat galaw kailangan i-rate. Di naman dapat ganun. Then you have to you have to put that in the category. You have to kasi eto ma'am, when we do targeting and determination of indicators, you can look at historical data. I'm sure this is not the first time that there are intervening activities. Then, if these, you could look at your performance data, your experience in previous years, kung itong mga intervening things or activities laging nangyayari, then it's about time you have it committed in your OPCR. Yun. Yan. Okay? O sige, we end muna this slide. Yeah, thank you po.
Ma'am, pwede daw may last 3 questions from the online. Or ba maya na lang po? Sige po. Thank you po.
Okay, so maraming salamat po, Director Grace, for that first session. Meron po tayong lunch ihanda po. Isa-serve na lang po sa atin dito. And later, with all the questions po, meron tayong open forum where you can ask the questions. And Director Grace will be answering them po, no? So for now, tayo po ay magla-lunch na. Kunin na lang po or isa-serve. Isa-serve na lang po yung lunch. So stay put na lang po tayo sa ating mga pwesto and enjoy your lunch. Maraming salamat po and magandang hapon sa inyong lahat.